Slightly different one today, as I put in my email. We're going to be covering some of the things that I've been learning about from you and some questions you've had. The first thing I'd like you to do, if it's all right, is just to put in the chat box any challenges that you've got that you would like to bring to the group as a whole. And when we've got people here who are happy to help, may have some ideas. I will be bringing other things in, but if we can just pull into the chat room, anybody who's got any challenges, things that you want us to discuss. There will be things obviously that I'm going to cover today, but if there's anything else, I want to make sure we cover it, because this is all about you and you getting something useful out of today. So, oh, brilliant. Brian's got handling scope creep. Well done. Anybody else got some good challenges in there? I'm pretty sure there are. I speak to quite a few of you and I know that there are some issues going on. So come on, thoughts, please. What is the biggest challenge facing you at the moment? You're all okay, are you? That's fantastic. Really pleased we're all working well. I'm sure there's some stuff we need to cover. Okay. Yeah, motivation. Oh, good point. You found there's just such, it's tough at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, time, always a big issue, isn't it? Can't have more time, but we can be more focused with time. Okay. What else? Efficient onboarding and the customer journey. Yeah. Coping with staff working from home. Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge, isn't it? I'm going to change the S word for staff, just so you're aware, to team. Team motivation and getting in touch with potential clients. Fall in productivity. Yeah, it's a big issue. Getting reluctant team members to return from furlough. Okay. So what I'll do is, if we get a chance to go into breakout rooms, we'll talk about that today, those things. If not, then they're definitely the agenda for next week. And we'll make sure we've got some key stuff going on there. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to cover today was something that's been coming up quite often in my conversations, because I'm doing a lot of work with a lot of you about customizing Times Up. And one of the big things that comes up is about bundles and what you contain in the bundles. And for me, this falls into two different sections. So when you first join AVN, I would suggest you stick with the AVN bundles as they are. Okay, so let me just show you those. Let me just get it open. Okay, and I will share my screen. So this is the resource that's in System Builder, and I'm just going to push some pictures out of the way there. Okay, so this is the things that are already in System Builder as bundled in. So I want us to just go through the things that may be causing some people some concern, okay, because of the conversations that we've had. So the first bit's very obvious, isn't it? It's about doing your accounts. And the first bit that we use in Times Up the bundling is about doing the main accounts. And then we bundle a few things to try and lift the price and to lift their perception of us as being a bit more than just doing the compliance work. So we've got the beginning, we've got the compliance work, the accounts, abbreviated statements, business tax methods. And I know that quite a few people have had some concerns about some of the tax stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute. A report on the accounting systems. So that's about actually having a little look about how we can help them improve that. So there is a resource in System Builder, you know, I was going to say that, which is just one that has that allows you to do a report on the accounting systems, and it allows you to tell them where are the challenges in the bookkeeping that you've picked up from them, or the information that you get from them, so that hopefully moving forward they can start being better at either posting things themselves or bringing in the right records for you. So it gives you a way of training your clients to work better with you. So that's that one. So it's really helpful. The profit review, I think I showed you that the other day, which is the simple one-page document that's inside System Builder. If you just type in profit review in the knowledge base, you'll find it. It's at the bottom of quite a long document. The document's explaining all about how it's there for positioning, but it's about sensitivity analysis. So even for your D clients, I would do a profit review when you give them their accounts, because you never know, some of them may be interested in looking at opportunity for growth. And it's a very simple one, if you remember, that just says, if you can improve your sales by 2, 5, 10%, reduce your cost by 2, 5, 10%, how much would it affect your profits? Really, really simple, but it's an eye-opener. So again, we tend to say, bundle that in, don't really charge for it, I don't think, in times up at the moment, because it's just a case of it's another way of getting a cross-selling opportunity. And then the accounting's records quality report. So when we use Times Up, we explain the quality of books and records that we define as anything from poor to excellent, and then actually being able to say to them, look, there are areas in here that actually, if you just did a bit more and you could have some training on, you could go up from maybe okay to above average, and that would reduce your accounts fee. So you can give them some information. I think one of the things that people often get confused about is the names of things, because a product often produces a report with a different name. So the annual Key Improvement Possibilities Report, KIP, KIP report, comes from On Track, okay? And On Track is about being proactive. It's about looking for opportunities to help your clients. And again, this is a very simple tool, a whole series of yes/no questions that you can do in the back office that produces a Key Improvement Possibilities report. And then the idea is that they come in and you present some of those findings, and again, for another cross-selling tool. As far as you're concerned, doing it back office, it's literally maybe a 15-minute job to do. It's really simple, but obviously it gives them something of value after the meeting that they can take away, look at, and do some, perhaps ask you for other help. Taxability is a resource in System Builder. So a really simple pre-year-end tax planning document you can send out, print out either under your own headed paper or get logoed up or however you like, and you can send it out, and that gives them some questions. Again, it's a cross-selling opportunity. So all of these things that I've done, that I've put on here before, the profit review, the quality of books and records, the annual Key Improvement Possibilities report from On Track, the taxability report from System Builder, they are all cross-selling opportunities for you that don't involve you having to do a lot of work. So they're very simple and anybody can do them for you, and then you can just produce them. We then get on to planning, okay? I'm conscious my internet connection is a bit unstable, so please let me know if it all goes a bit pear-shaped, okay? So here are some basic planning things. I would say to you, if you are not confident with any of these, then please contact somebody like Proactive Tax, okay, who have tools and support to help you some of these things. It's worth having them there to answer your questions, but I would hope that a lot of this you already have built into the way that you do work, including your tax efficient remuneration plans. You'll know about that. We've put in 2 health checks that are in the 4 and 5 star things, and this is about peace of mind. So if your clients really want peace of mind about stuff, first of all, we're going to make sure they're only paying the tax that they should be paying, because we're doing all this tax planning. And then we're going to make sure that there aren't any risks to them for penalties, because that's the other thing. So if they're risk averse, then the middle level is quite a good package to go for. So we say we're going to look at the pay as you earn, make sure that we're minimizing all the risk for penalties. Even if you're doing the payroll yourself, there is still the opportunity to give this as a separate thing, because you've got team members or you're outsourcing your payroll and it's being done week on week on week. It's a good point that at least once a year you review that and you have a quick look and you check how it's going, and are the things, that could be picked up around employment that perhaps need looking at. And it's the same with the VAT. Yes, we're going to be doing, perhaps if we're doing the bookkeeping, it comes off the software and we're quite happy with VAT and whatever. But again, there's no reason why we shouldn't once a year be looking at, are they on the best VAT scheme? Are we looking at helping them out with things? Should we be thinking about things they could be claiming VAT on that they're not, or vice versa? So check those. And obviously for those people who are risk averse, having the professional fee protection is also a key thing. So so often what happens is that people who just want to pay the minimum amount will go for your bottom bundle. In this case, what we've done is built the middle one to people who are risk averse, who want to just have peace of mind. So that's the middle one. And then the top one, our 5 star, is then about actually helping them grow and the first steps to growth. And so we've put in there the benchmark review. Now you'll see we've put in the 4 star one. So that's the short report. There's no reason why you can't do the one-page one first to show them the opportunity and then give them the short report afterwards, which the software just produces for you. And the short report only just identifies a handful of key numbers and gives them some graphs and gives them some suggestions of things they can do. So it gives them actions they can take. And then capitalizing on these challenging times, whole suite of resources in System Builder about this, where you can use it in a 2-hour meeting to just get them to stop a minute and think strategically about what they're doing in their business. Now, I imagine that most of us have been doing that with our clients all through lockdown anyway, to be honest. We've been trying to help them think about this. But now we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know what's going to be happening in the next few months. It's really important to say to you, right, to get to them, okay, you've been sort of, most of them have perhaps been floating along because they've had furlough schemes, so that's managed their employees, and they've had bounce back loans or whatever else. But now actually we need to get some proper planning in place. And of course that may lead on to cash flow forecasting and all the other things that we might need to do to help them with. But this is to get them moving. So the original template that's in Time's Up mimics this, okay? If you choose to change it, then please make sure you change Time's Up and you change this document so that they use it, because this can be then used either as a brochure content or as a sort of a memory aid to help you know, just have a quick picture of what's in it. But if you can think about yourself that actually, yeah, the 3-star is compliance, but we want to make our own lives easier and look at some opportunities for cross-selling. 4-star is that plus some things we're going to do for peace of mind, risk aversion, and 5-star is to start helping them grow, spot opportunities. That's the simplest way to look at it, okay? And the pricing of bundling can be very flexible. So often people say, well, we start with, and I would say when you start with AVN, you start with this type of bundling, a very simple structured bundling, okay? But there's no reason as you become more confident with the AVN tools and resources that you can't create your own bundling. So I just want to share, if I can find it. Yeah, just up here. Oops. Things on my screen. I just wanted to show you Blend's different ways of bundling, because they've come up with 3 different sorts, which I thought was a really interesting way of building in all the AVN resources in different ways. So their first type of blend, so if you can see up here, ways we can help, they start with accountancy blend, okay? And they've renamed it, but when you look at this is pretty much exactly what I've just shown you, except for the 3-star is the essential, the 4-star is that peace of mind, tax planning one, 5-star is the business growth. And they've anchored that to the perfect blend, which is basically them taking over doing the accounting software as well. So that's an anchoring point, which will be much, much higher in fees in their Time's Up. So you can see that they've used that as a very basic process, which is really useful. But then they've gone one step further and they've looked at growth blends. And what they've done is they've used PMI this way. So the PMI process that I talked about last week, I think it was last week, okay, they've broken that down into 3 levels. So 3 different bundles. So first of all is to develop, and they've just cherry picked bits out of the PMI process. So they've cherry picked the goal setting, the cash flow forecast, success driver mapping, and then management accounts, and benchmark, and some sensitivity analysis. So some really basic stuff there, okay? Then they've gone to expand, which is the one they want to sell most of, because they want to get that people to really buy into that, which is why it's highlighted, as you can see. And you can see that they've put in a whole load of stuff in here that is mainly PMI, but they're not going to help people interpret the numbers. And they're going to just different amounts of support as far as sessions are concerned. And then finally, the scale, actually, how do you grow it? So again, really interesting that they've thought of those 3 bundles. And then finally, they've come up with the transformational blends. And this is all the business consulting tools that are in System Builder. So they've built that into Business Builder, Business Edge, and Making It Happen. So they've given 3 levels of service. So you can make different types, but if you go right back to the accountancy one, which is exactly the same as Time's Up. So you can see it's just a different way. They've renamed them. They've named them something that fits for them. So I would suggest you come up with a name that works. But make sure But when you build first of all, I would suggest you start with AVN as it is, okay? It's simple. We can support you with everything that it suggests and teach you how to do it. It's not a problem, okay? If you want to make it more complex as you grow, as you develop your business, then that's fine, but make sure that you're trying to build 3 levels that work in different ways. So if I can just stop my share a second. We all know, don't we, from the pricing stuff, that people like choice, okay? But we also know that people don't like to be overwhelmed with choice. So that's why Time's Up has 3 service levels. But actually in the software, you can create as many as you like. So a Blend, you saw they got 4 because they've anchored the very top one, which is almost a financial director role, okay? But what normally happens when people are given choice, depending on their circumstances, obviously, most people will choose to pick the middle option, okay? Because if the middle option shows them value, but doesn't seem to be incredibly expensive. The way I look at it is, if you're going to build your 3 bundles, what you want to do is think about your grading of your clients, okay? So we know that your A clients are the ones that you want to be doing business growth work with. They're the ones that are open to growth, they're excited about change, whatever. And so they may be your top bundle, your business growth bundle, okay? But you don't want many of those, because actually that work, although it is very financially rewarding, does take a lot of time, and it takes a lot of your time as senior people. A lot of it cannot be done by junior people because it's strategic and it's development work. So although it has a high profitability, you're not going to want a huge number of people doing it. Down at the bottom end, on your bottom level of your 3 bundles, okay, that's compliance. So they're people who are price chasers. Now, as long as they are profitable, you can have as many as you like of those, as long as you've got the people who can sit there and just churn out compliance work, okay? But it's not massively profitable. It's enough. It pays the bills normally. What you want is most people to pick the middle level. So whatever you build into the middle level wants to be something that shows some value, but is also profitable. So from my point of view, it would be very easy to bundle in the benchmark 3-star service into your middle level, okay? Because to run a benchmark 1-page plan takes no time at all, but it can have massive value. Okay, so it's a profitable thing. It doesn't take a lot of time. One of the team can run it off, and then you can look at the numbers, or your client managers could actually run the meeting about a benchmark report, but it adds value. So that's a really simple thing to add. It's one of the reasons why we put in the key improvement possibilities report, because it has high value, perceived value, but doesn't take a lot of work to do. So what you're trying to think of is that middle band, if you are building your own structures, don't overcomplicate it, because you want that middle band to be things that you can deliver easily, okay, but have a high perception of value. Are we all right on that? Any questions so far? Quiet. Okay. So my recommendation is to actually start with just the bundles that are in Time's Up, okay? The bundles that are shown in System Builder as a starting point. It's an easy way of differentiating, and the software is built to build the pricing up so that there is a jump between 3 and 4 and a jump between 4 and 5, so they can see that. But hopefully that the jump between 3 and 4 there is enough value to make that jump, okay? Now, I do understand that obviously, again, at this time of year, what's happening, people are going to be very price sensitive. So it may be that there are a lot more people that are coming to you and may want to choose that lower bundle. But don't show them the lower bundle first. As always start with your best service, your top service, okay? Always show them what you would love to give them, what you would love to offer them. The thing that would make the most difference to their business, always start with the top one, okay? And work your way down. And even if you say, I'm going to show you the best we can do, this is what I want to do for every business that I work with. This would be my dream, that I could help every business by giving them our 5-star service. And I want to show you it and explain it all. And you do that. And when the price comes up, obviously they're going to have a little bit of a fit. You go, but I know this is not for you now. I know you can't afford this at the moment, but I want you to be aware that as we work together, as things get better, I can help you with this stuff. So now let's look at the 4-star, the middle one. And obviously that's a good way of explaining that. So I think that that's really, really important to do that, okay? So the second thing people have asked me about is about using times up on Zoom. And really, I want to just open the floor a bit at the moment, because one of the things people have said to me is for some prospects, it's a big challenge getting them to come on Zoom in the first place, to have a face-to-face meeting. So if anyone would like to unmute themselves or put something in the chat box or whatever, what are you doing to encourage people to actually come and talk to you on Zoom that you've not met before?
Yeah, Emma. Yeah, I'm using
It's a bit quiet. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Is that better?
That's me. Sorry, go.
Yeah, I'm using video over the phone, basically, to give quotes to clients if they ask. Otherwise, I have tried Zoom a couple of times, but it's easier if you've got the mobile with you, then you can play with your PC and give the client the quote on Time's Up.
Okay. Are you actually showing them how Time's Up is building up that quote, or are you just giving them a number at the end?
Well, I'm just telling them that I'm using the software.
Right.
And if they want to see it, then obviously they can see it through the video.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. What else are people doing?
I haven't necessarily shown them how the whole build-up happens on the quotation. And I haven't really done Zoom meetings for any new clients. We really tried to get them in the office because in our boardroom we can do sufficient segregation and have done it like that. Yeah, I think that's where we are at the moment. It seems a little bit difficult to do Zoom with people you haven't met and all of that. It's, yeah, quite challenging, I think.
Okay, so Simon says he's got a link at the top of his homepage on the website that links to his calendar. So he books a meeting time to suit them when you're free. Brilliant. Brian says he's advertised Zoom on Google but had a poor response. Okay, that's interesting.
I have one.
Yeah, hi.
I am. Right. It's more a general thing that a number of people are really reluctant to use Zoom because it is owned by the Chinese. And they really are not happy with the level of security that is perceived to be there. And I'm not quite sure how to get around that myself. But I've also had a couple of clients who've been dealing with American-owned companies, and they've said Zoom is no. You have to use a different platform if you want to talk to us, because of sanctions and other things coming in. Gosh. So I don't know if anyone else has actually had this sort of a problem where people are saying, yeah, it's not the actual concept, it's the supplier, if you like, that's the issue.
Okay. Anybody have that?
I would ask them what is so sensitive about what you're going to discuss that they're worried the Chinese will know.
Yeah, quite, but it's more just a general feeling that some of these people have.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Microsoft Teams is far more vulnerable than Zoom.
Wow.
As long as so whichever one they want, and Google, whatever it is also very vulnerable. Whichever one they want to use, they are all subject to being hacked if someone really wants to get into it.
I've just said to one or two people that it really depends on who you want to be listening in, doesn't it? I'm a bit sarcastic. That's the only thing I could think to say at the time. So, yeah, it was just a weird one. I just didn't know if anyone else was coming across with that sort of thing. That's just probably people just reluctant to do it. They prefer to meet face to face, because I've had people quite happy to do face to face. The point saying, well, happy to wear a mask and hand sanitize and all the rest of it. And just bear in mind, it's a meter plus a mask, so it's not too bad there. So.
That's cool. Yeah. Brian's just put, maybe the Chinese are listening to us now. Yeah, they could be. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Jenny's mentioned obviously that there is Skype, there's Google Hangouts. There are various other platforms if that is a concern. I mean, I'm quite amazed actually that you've got clients that are happy to come and meet you face to face as opposed to come onto some portal, because there's so many people who are still very much self-isolating at the moment. But that's good. Is there anybody using other platforms? Because there are others, aren't there, that are being used out there. So, I mean, it's always worth looking at that. To me, I mean, one of the big issues I think is actually getting them to come on it in the first place, whether or not they have sensitivity to it. And I don't know about you, but I find that it's much harder to make a connection with somebody just on the phone than it is on Zoom. And I know Zoom's a challenge. None of us like being on camera. But once you can forget you're on camera, you're just talking to somebody on the other side of the screen, aren't you? But I find that that's a bit of a challenge. And when you think about how we're positioning ourselves these days, that we want to be there for them. We want to be part of their business, not a remote person. We want to be part of it, and that it's as important for us to like them as for them to like us. You know what I mean? Because we want to enjoy who we're working with. And maybe making that clear that when people ring up, say, look, if this was the norm, you and I would meet up and have a chat. And if you're up for that, yeah, we'll get masks on and we'll go meet somewhere and we'll have a chat. I said, but I understand that a lot of people still are not comfortable with that. But I still feel it's better for us to be able to gauge whether or not we're going to be able to work with each other well and get on if we can just come on online and have a chat. And maybe if they're not using Zoom, say to them, look, I actually use a platform called Zoom. Would you mind if I just dropped you an email with a little video that explains about it and what we do and how it works? Just so that they've got over their little technophobe and they can play with it before that meeting, because that's the other issue, isn't it? Sometimes you've got a meeting planned and it takes them 10 minutes to sort themselves out before they've actually come online, and then they're flustered and they're not in that right frame of mind to have this conversation that we want to have with them. So the whole point is phone impressions, having meetings at your offices, all those systems that we've got in System Builder are all about making that comfortable, making our clients, our prospects feel comfortable about talking to us, to be in the best possible state of mind so that they are open to having a chat with us and they want to work with us. So if we can do that before we have a Zoom meeting, send them something that, gives them that little bit of confidence, lets them have a little bit of play, even lets them sort of test it with somebody else in your team, before you have that meeting, just so that when you do have that meeting where you want to start using Time's Up or talk about what you're delivering, you can actually, they're in a comfortable place. So I just wanted to think about that, really, about being aware that although we're using, for us now, technology is becoming like second nature. In fact, I feel I'm living on Zoom these days. For some people, it is still awkward. And if you've got people who are purely ringing up and saying, no, all I want is a price, all I want a price, then what do we think of them? Price chasers, aren't they? And and you need to say to, look, we don't give prices over the phone. Everybody is unique. There's a great section that explains that. I love Blend's website. There's some lovely stuff on there that says, yeah, we have these packages, but everybody is unique. Everybody's circumstances is unique. And we want to give the best support we can possibly give. And therefore we need to have a proper talk, and therefore make sure you do that. And don't fall into that trap. Well, could you just give me a sort of range of prices? Because you know what happens when people hear a range, they expect the lowest bit, don't they? So you need to have that meeting. Okay, so when you're having that meeting, how many of you are confident about sharing a screen on Zoom? Are you all doing it? Yeah, I was just doing it. Some of you are, some of you not. Okay, well, there's a couple of things I just want, Christy says no. Okay, there was a couple of things I wanted to point out with you, okay? So when you set up the meeting, you can set all sorts of rules about it. So you can set up that you have a waiting room or not. Now, I quite like the idea of waiting rooms because you can go in, you can have everything set up, you can check what you look like on camera, you have it all sorted, and then when you're ready to have them in, you can let them in. And they also have like a few seconds to just sort of get themselves sorted as well before they come into the room. Gives them a little bit of time as well. So the waiting rooms is quite nice. And also having a holding message. So in your chat box, you can put in a little holding message that just says, you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing you. You know, I don't know, have you got a cup of tea or whatever else, you know, whatever else, you know, I hope you feel comfortable. Oh, Simon's annoyed because he's not being able to use reactions in this system. I don't know why. I thought it was switched on, but maybe it's not. Okay, I'll check that one. So yes, you can set all sorts of settings. It's quite fun with things to do. Now, the other thing that I would suggest you do is that when you come on, first of all, you just are on your space screen, okay? And I would suggest that you explain to them that if you look at the picture of a person, I don't know if you can all do it now, if you highlight in the top right-hand corner, there are 3 dots appear, okay? And you can choose to pin a video. You got that? Yeah? And so I would suggest that they pin your video and you pin theirs, okay? And then you've just got one picture on screen and so they're watching your face and not seeing their own and getting distracted by how they look and their hair and what's going on in the background. All they're seeing is you. And the same the way around, all you're seeing is them. Because you want to be reading their reactions and again, not being distracted about how you look or what else is going on behind the scenes, you know, whatever else. So do that first. That's really important. And also explain to them that, you know, I would also make sure that they've got a mic on. And if they haven't got a mic available, make sure that they've got the chat box open, ready to use. But again, if you get them set up so the mic's already on so they can chat to you, you can have a little bit of pleasantries beforehand. Just chat to each other. Isn't it a bit awkward being on video, but it's lovely to see you, how things been going, just like you would in a normal meeting, okay? And if all you can see is their picture, you're not concerned about your own face, you're having a meeting just as if you were just in your office, okay? You're looking at what you would be looking at. So that relaxes both parties, okay? And then when you are ready to talk about things and you want to share what's going on in Time's Up, okay, you can then share your screen. So you'll have a button that allows you to share your screen. I'm not sure if it's been made available to all of you. Okay, so I'm just going to share mine. Now, what I would always suggest is before you come on the meeting, make sure your desktop's clear, your emails are shut, you know, anything that might jump up is shut. And I would always suggest that you share your desktop, okay? And that means that they can see what you're seeing, whatever that is, okay? It's easier because if you try and show them a piece of software, for example, Time's Up, and then it tries to open up Word in the background, they won't always see the Word document. Whereas if they're seeing the desktop, they'll see what comes up on your desktop, which will be Word opening. So that's the difference. Sometimes what happens is it can be very upsetting that you're trying to talk to somebody and you say, can you see this document? And they say no, and then it gets a bit fraught. So if you just do it from your desktop, that's the important thing. So although it's not, you know, lovely and clean and clear, there is easier ways of doing it. So I'm just going to show you in my desktop here. This is my virtual machine, which has just switched itself off. So sorry about that. Okay. So I would have Time's Up open, ready to talk about everything. Okay. When it comes, oh, here we go. Don't you love Microsoft? It does look beautiful though, doesn't it? You think? I could be there today. That would be very nice. And that's the thing, if things like this happen, just chat about it. It doesn't have to be distracting, you know, you can make it a fun thing. It doesn't have to be, don't think about perfection. You know, this is just like anything else. Software is a challenge, no matter what. Okay. So you've pinned their face, okay? So it'll be the one you're seeing, and wherever you put it, so I would obviously make sure you drag it to a place where you can still get to the buttons on Time's Up. And I would always start with this clear, okay? So the only thing you should have been able to put in there before you see the prospect is their name. Okay, so you set them up as a client name, and you may need to choose that you want to edit that. But knowing their name, then I can put in, start typing it, and I've got their client comes up. Okay, and then just like you would show times up in front of them, you use the software. So I'm going to add a quote, and I'm going to explain that I'm going to do their business first, and then I'm going to talk about their tax. Okay. Now, just wanted to again show you a few things that I've adapted on mine that I just think would be useful perhaps some of you to do. Okay, so we all know that we talk about the fact that, okay, so your year end is going to be October. You've told me that you're in plumbing and heating. So actually you're into consumer. We do the accounting systems rating sheet just like we've always done. So here it is. And if they don't, and if you want to explain what that is, you can click on the button and you should all be able to see Word opening. Yes? So right, because I've shared my screen, you should be able to see Word opening. Okay. And that will explain all the things that we've talked about. Okay. So you can go through just like you do a normal quote, exactly the same, explaining it. There is no difference. The only thing you need to be doing is watching their face, okay? Watching what they're doing. Oh, I closed it. So while you're on it, just stop screen share. Make sure that as you're talking, because you're not seeing your face, you're seeing theirs, you're gauging their reaction, okay? It's amazing how much you can gauge from just their shoulder body language and from their face. So think about how you can help them with that. You know, so if you see something and it starts, you can see they're starting to like screw up the faces. I think I've told you before that when I'm thinking, I frown. So don't get panicky if people frown at you. Often they're just thinking about trying to understand it. So if you saw me frowning, I would expect you to say, "Oh, Emma, did you not understand something there? Do I need to explain that a bit better?" You know, and then be able to talk it through. But really important to make sure that you go through that sort of thing. Make it very clear to them what's going on. And then once you've done the quote, just like everything else, you can say, right, okay, let's get it all sorted. You can do it all on screen like you would normally do. But also make sure, obviously, that you are either emailing the copy or putting a copy up in their portal or whatever you've chosen to do to make sure that you've got that communication. And when you finish, to come back to just face-to-face, stop the screen share, come back to face-to-face and make sure, say like, right, is everything happy? Are you really happy with everything we do? Because I'm really looking forward to us starting on this. In fact, let's put some dates in our diaries for when we're going to start working on this. So, you know, if they've picked the 5-star and it comes in the key improvement possibilities report, well, actually, why don't we book that meeting now? Let's just see if we can get, you know, one of the things you've said is you'd like to look at key improvement possibilities. Well, I'll go away and look at that and I'll come up with 3 things. I'll probably be more than that, but 3 things we'll talk about in the meeting. Let's book that meeting now for, you know, 3 weeks' time, a month's time. So you've got your next steps happening all the time. And that's quite critical. So it's really important that you use this, but you know, try and think, I always find that if I can just pin one face on it, it just makes it such a more personal thing. Whereas if I'm seeing myself all the time, I'm distracted. So really important for that, I think, is to make sure, if I'm going to say, if you're going to invite them to Zoom, perhaps have a little intro video you can send to them, explaining it, why you've chosen Zoom, how to use it, how to get logged in, making sure they've got a camera and a microphone, you know, how they could do it on their iPad if they want to join you from their iPad or their phone, you know, how simple it is. And then making sure that when they come on, you face-to-face first, you explain about pinning pictures, and you explain about that you're going to share screens and show them things, okay? The more things you can engage them with, the better, really, as far as that times up process is concerned. So show them that. Okay, any questions? Okay.